Time for a little update. I started working on the Flybridge this morning. I've got all the holes drilled for the gauges, and I can't work up there very long. It's hot out right now. The sun's beating down and it's around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius, and under this tarp it's just an oven. So I had that fan going and I worked till just about noon up there doing a few things, but it's just too hot. So then I moved down below and I've been getting ceiling in down here. So all the wiring's finished that goes in the ceiling, and I'm not sure when my last update was. The bathroom is all paneled, walls, ceiling, everything is paneled in the bathroom. Out here, I've done the ceiling all except the last sheet at the front because I've still got a whole mess of wires and the hydraulic steering hoses and things to go up in that corner. And I could, just leave an opening for it, but I'm just afraid of messing myself up or making it more difficult than it needs to be. So I'm going to get all or close to all of that finished before I put this last sheet up on the ceiling. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch of wires hanging down there that go to various things, and a whole lot more wires buried in the wall. Got lots of wiring going on. And that's without even getting into anything to do with the engine wiring harness, the trim tab wiring, the hydraulic steering hoses. So all that's coming soon though. It's all here. It's just I'm going to get into that soon. And yeah, once all that's done, then I can start closing up the rest of the walls. But I've got a whole lot of, it's slow. It's just trying to organize it all and make sure you don't mess up something. It's just a lot of thought and slow progress, but everything you do requires kind of going all through it, inside out, upside down, trying to make sure you're not missing out on something. So yeah, I've got that black cable, and behind it the purple cable are the black is a NMEA 2000 network cable, and the purple is a CAN bus cable for the throttle and shift system. So yeah, I just keep working away at it. I've got to start on the plumbing underneath the water pumps mounted and the cushion tank. So I think I'll work up in the Flybridge tomorrow until it gets too hot, and then I'll maybe get into some plumbing. And one way or another, I just keep trying to move forward. I got the helm upstairs sorted out and then came down here, and they're all linked together, so I kind of have to get both of them done. So I've got a plan here, some measurements of where all the gauges go. Pencil mark's a little hard to see, but shows the layout of the gauges and a few things. And I've got these two consoles, whatever you want to call them. All the woodwork is done. Got a nice little cubby in there to put stuff, and there's USB ports and a light switch over there and a 110 volt. So now I'm ready to get into the arborate, and then once the arborate's on, I can drill all the holes for the gauges, mount the steering and all that stuff. So got to do all that so I can hook up all the wiring between all the gauges up and down and back to the engine and all that. So it's kind of like, seems a little early to be putting arborate on. I haven't even paneled the walls and painted and all that, but I'm just going to have to mask to keep it from getting speckled. But I figure I need to get all this wiring sorted out, buried in the walls before I do the walls. So seemed like this was the next step. So now time to get into some arborate. The dash is looking pretty good. That hole up above the steering helm there is where the compass goes, and over to the right by the box that the wiper motor came in is where the shifter will go. All the gauges, switches, most of them are, all the gauges are wired up. Most of the switches, a couple aren't wired in yet. And I got the wiper motor up top here, but not wired. Wires are all hanging there. And that box is there with the instructions on how to wire it up. It's kind of complicated because you can vary the swing on it. You can vary whether it parks left or right. It's got 2 speeds, so I'll figure that all out someday. I think it's time for a little run through of the electrical system on the boat, what I've got in mind, what I've done, what I'm doing. So I guess I'll start with here on the side of the cabin is the shore power connection, and then a number 10 wire goes down from there down to this big hole here is where I'm going to mount my distribution center. I'm using an RV distribution center, similar to what we have in our travel trailer. It's got 110 volt circuits and 12 volt circuits and a charger that will it's rated for lithium iron phosphate batteries as well as lead acid, and so that'll be right there. And then the rest of the electrical stuff is also in under the dash here. And here at the front door, this is the door up to the front deck, there's going to be stairs. And once the stairs are built, the way I'm doing it, there will be a recessed area in here. One of the lithium iron phosphate batteries will go across there, and the other one will be just on the other side of this panel here lengthwise, so the 2 terminal ends will be close together there in the bus bar in that area. So under here, I'll just duck under here. It's been quite handy being able to come and go from the cabin to the front deck without having to go up the stairs and back, climb back down in. So out here under the front deck, this shows you the back of the gauge panel with all the electrical stuff there and all the wires that go from there up to the Flybridge for everything up top. And this maze of wires, they're all labeled. Hopefully I can figure it all out and when I get to actually connecting everything. So I've got this number 2 wire going, pretty sure it's number 2, going from the engine compartment to here. And so I'm going to have a starter battery on the boat, or at the engine, and then that cable will go from it up to the front here where I'm going to have a DC to DC charger that will keep the house batteries charged when you're running the engine. And it also, the DC to DC charger is also my solar controller. It's an integrated unit, so it handles the solar charging and when the engine runs, that charging. So it's sounds like a pretty slick system. I've watched some reviews of it and it sounds like it's a nice setup. And so yeah, that'll be there. And then in this spot here, we'll have the second battery, and above it, mounted on the back of this panel, will be the 2000 watt inverter. And that's going to be connected to 2 circuits that go to the galley area. The one runs the microwave and the other runs the plugs over the counter. So Lisa can make her smoothies and we can use the microwave when we're on battery. Obviously it's a high power draw, so you wouldn't want to do a lot of that, but it will give us that option. So yeah, so that's kind of what's going on under there. And then we have, yeah, this number 10 wire here is the coming down from the solar panel connection. I've got panels, the same ones I use camping. I'm just going to lay them out when we want them. Depending on the boat, I don't think is going to have a huge power draw. It's a propane fridge, and the electric 12 volt fridges are a massive power draw, and we won't have that. So you'll still have plenty of things, pumps, lights, various things, but at least we don't have the fridge. So I don't know how often we're going to actually need solar unless we really want to just sit and anchor for a few days and not move. But we do have the 2 panels. We can just set them out on the roof and plug them in. There's a plug up there and that'll work. And other than that, there's all this wiring. There's this is all the gauge senders, and this is the trim tab wiring and a whole bunch of other stuff, various switches, blower, horn, you name it. And yeah, so the shifter, throttle and shift, is here, and there's also one up top, and they're electronic ones. They're really nice, smooth, easy action. There's no stiff cables or anything to move. And so they're run on a network. And that's these two purple network cables. One of them goes from upper to lower, and the other goes back to the controller at the back. There's an actuator that'll be back under the kitchen cupboards. It's not, what do they call it? Ignition protected, so they tell you if it's a gas engine, which we are, it can't be in the engine compartment. So it's going to be back under the kitchen cupboards, just inside the cabin of the boat. And then there's two short mechanical cables that will run from the actuator back to the actual engine and outdrive. So yeah, so these two purple lines are the network cables for the shifter, and this black one here is an NMEA 2000 network cable. I'm putting that system in even though I kind of don't really need it right now. There's also going to be another cable which I have in the house but I haven't installed yet, that is a Garmin network cable that will run between the two Garmins. So whatever is on the one is mirrored on the second one, charts, depth, whatever. You can switch screens, but all the info is shared between the two units. So I still have to run that cable from down here to up top, and I have to run the depth sounder transducer. I bought it over the winter, so I have to run that cable up here. So yeah, there's a little more wiring to do before I close everything up in here. But the other reason for having the NMEA 2000 cable back to the engine compartment is if the day ever comes where I want to put a autopilot on the boat, which I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I have the option. It can hook into that network cable. And down below here we've got the engine wiring harness, and this is the sender wiring harness that I made up to go up to the Flybridge. And then the hydraulic steering hose is there. And yeah, these multicolored ones in here, that's the the trim tabs. And then we've got the two heavy cables for the DC to DC charger, and then just some 110 volt for the various outlets. So we've got one outlet here, another one up there with a reinforcing to mount a wall mount for a small television in case we ever have a rainy day or whatever that we just want to sit and watch Netflix. Over here, our bed area is this area here, and then there's a outlet, and then under here that's going to be two USB ports to charge your phones, and this is a switch, light switch to turn off the light that's over our bed. So once we're all settled in, we can just reach up there and flick the switch instead of having to reach up to the ceiling. There's also two USB outlets here, and then I'm going to put two more back at the dinette, so you can charge phones back here, because in this day and age I got my hearing aids, our phones, got all, everything that you have to charge nowadays. It seems like we live in a world of rechargeable stuff, which I guess is better than chucking batteries constantly. And yeah, so this is going to be the galley area. So there's wiring back here for the range. It only needs it for some lighting and a couple things, but it still needs power. And then I've got power back here to go up to the microwave, and some outlets for, in the galley area at the kitchen counter. And this wire back here will feed a plug that's in the engine compartment for a charger, so when you're on shore power it can keep the starting battery fully charged. And yeah, so that's basically, one other thing here is that's the shower drain. It runs into that little sump that I made, fiberglass, and then it'll have a bilge pump in it to pump it overboard. And so yeah, that's got wires for it too. So yeah, that's basically, obviously lighting, that's the simple stuff. That took very little time to run some wires around for some ceiling lights. It's the engine and the trim tabs and the network stuff, and it seems like it never ends. You just keep having more and more things that you want to have. But it'll be nice. All these conveniences will be so nice when it's done, but it's a lot of planning and a lot of doing. It just all takes time. But that's our electrical system.